Abdullah ibn Abd-el-Muttalib. She is the aunt of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam from his father's side, and probably we don't have much details, that many details about her life, but a few situations, a few stances here and there from her life that really made it so strongly to our reality nowadays. Safiyyah, she was such a special person, being bint Abd-el-Muttalib, the daughter of Abd-el-Muttalib, Sayyidu Qawmihi al-Muta'. He was the leader of his people. Abd-el-Muttalib ibn Hashim, the grandfather of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's her father. And her mother was Hala bint Khuwaylid. She was Hala bint Khuwaylid, the sister of, actually, Hala bint Wahb, the sister of Amina bint Wahb, the mother of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, from that special family. And she was married in the beginning to the brother of Abu Sufyan, Sayyidu Qawmihi, Sayyid Bani Umayyah, the leader of his people. So her father is the leader of his family and people. The husband is the leader of his family and people. He passed away. She got married to another person, Al-Awwam ibn Khuwaylid, who was the brother of Sayyidah Khadija, al-Mu'mineen al-Ula. And she was like, everybody around her was so special. Her other brother was Hamza ibn Abd-el-Muttalib. Her son is Zubayr ibn al-Awwam from her second husband. And both of her husbands passed away, one after the other. I mean, she got married to the second husband, she passed away, he passed away. She took care of bringing up Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. She brought him up in such a way, like tough, to be a fighter, to be a strong person in life. And even some of her family members were telling her, take it easy on him. She said, no, I'm preparing him to be like a strong person, to be like a leader for the future. And he was likewise, Zubayr ibn al-Awwam radiallahu anhu, Ibn Safiyyah. He was even, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, sometimes of the Sahaba they used to praise him, they would say he is the Ibn Safiyyah. This is the son of Safiyyah, meaning the son of such strong lady. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he received the Risala, نبئ بالرسالة, he received the mission, he is a prophet. أول ما دعاه الله سبحانه وتعالى دعاه وأنذر عشيرتك الأقربين. Allah called him to give the message to his closest family members. That's why he called on his only family members, and he told them, I am the prophet, such and such, and he gave him the details of الرسالة. Then he said, يا فاطمة اعملي لا أغني عنك من الله شيئا. يا صفية بنت عبد المطلب اعملي لا أغني عنك من الله. He started addressing them one by one. Oh Fatima, my daughter, Fatima, daughter of Muhammad, you have to work. I'm not going to benefit you nothing. Just not only because you are related to me, I'm your father, you will be saved in the day of judgment. It doesn't work this way. Ya Safiyyah, you have to do likewise. We know that some of his family members accepted Islam. One of them was Safiyyah, but some others rejected. Abu Lahab rejected, and he became one of the enemies of Islam. So some accepted Islam. One of them was Safiyyah bint Abd-el-Muttalib, his aunt, and she became from الرعيل الأول, from the first generation to accept Islam. لاقت ما لاقى المسلمين في الفترة هذه قبل الهجرة للمدينة. She had to go through all the trouble and hardship and difficulties, just like other Muslims in Mecca before making the hijrah to Al-Madinah. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam made the hijrah, she moved, she made the hijrah with him to Al-Madinah. It was not easy. She had to leave Mecca behind. We talk about hijrah in a few sentences. In one sentence, they made hijrah. Making hijrah, leaving your city, your family, your house, that's not easy. It's not really easy. And I always, when I remember hijrah, I remind myself and everybody to النهجر الحرام، النهجر ما حرم الله، النهجر حالة الغفلة، النهجر كل شيء سيء في الحياة وننتقل إلى الحالة. Let's make hijrah also ourselves. If we did not get the chance to be with the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and make hijrah with him, we can make hijrah, we can abandon all the bad things. Every single person of us, there is room for being better. So let's move from this point of not being the best to the other point of being better or the best, and that inshallah is going to count as hijrah. And the more effort you spend for struggling against yourself to be a better person, to make your community better, to make your family better, I hope inshallah Allah will give you the reward of hijrah. وَالْمُهَاجِرُ مَنْ هَجَرَ مَا نَهَى اللَّهُ عَنْهُ. Safiyyah bint Abd-el-Muttalib made the hijrah as one of the prominent ladies. خلي بالك الله يصلح حالك نزله لا يوحش. فهاجرت مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم واستقرت بالمدينة ونشأ الزبير كان كبر يعني شب عن الطول. He became a young person and he became like a prominent person in the community. But the two situations we really need to talk about quickly in her life is her first situation was يوم الأحد. Muslims won the first battle and it was such a big victory that Quraysh, she never faced anything like that. They kind of lost their fame and their leadership. So they were coming back in Uhud to retaliate with all of that power. And we know all the details of what happened. She was there, Safiyyah and some other ladies, they were there with the men, with the Prophet ﷺ, even in the battlefield. Yes, they might not be the best qualified to fight, but they can do other jobs. They can provide water, they can take care of the wounded, they can support this kind of moral, give this moral support for the army. They were there with the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the battlefield. Some narrow-minded Muslims nowadays look at the women as they don't have a role to play in life. Some others, on the other hand, they look down at the role of women to bring up the family. Actually, the main role of a woman is to take care, is to invest in the man. But she is part of the community. As well as that, she is part of the community, not because we make her such, or we give her that. No, they were around the Prophet ﷺ even in the battlefield. Qualified to do certain jobs, they will do. In Kashif al-Muslimun, the Muslims, we know what happened, and they ended up defeated at the end, leaving the Nabi ﷺ alone. Only few people, of the strongest people, came to be around the Nabi ﷺ in this very critical moment. Safiyyah bint Abd-el-Muttalib, she was giving water, she was taking care of the wounded. She saw many people going back, she was going forward. She was going, أخذت رمح أحد هؤلاء المهزمين الفارين. She got the javelin of one of those people who are going back, and she's going forward. One of the women, and she was probably close to the 60s. She was in her 60s, not like very young, but she was going forward in the time that many people are going back. No matter how old you are, no matter the situation, that's a woman. She's not like a fighter by default, and she's not like very young, but she was going forward. You can have a heart that is capable of making a change. Every person of us can have this. I remember the story of this lady. I mean, I'm just quoting this point. Forgot her first name, Nayat, the American lady. She is a swimmer. She made it from Cuba all the way to Key West, swimming. It took her 50. Huh?
She's from Cuba.
From here, she's American.
No,
she's American. No, she is American, and she made it to, 52 hours, and she has been trying for 27 years. She made it like 3, 4, 5 times before, and every time she failed, but finally she did. The point is, regardless of who is that person, she made it, and actually she made a speech after that was so strong. I was touched by listening to that speech. It's mainly about, if there is a will, there is a way. If there is a will, there is a way. She managed to be swimming directly for 50 some hours, non-stop. That's one of the physical miracles maybe or something. Safiyyah bint Abd-el-Muttalib was there, very old, and her faith, she was moving by this faith, taking the javelin and moving forward when fighters are going back. She was coming to support the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And that was close to the end of the battle. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam saw her, and Zubayr was there. He said, Al-Mar'a, take care of the lady, the woman. He was afraid that she's going to see Hamza ibn Abd-el-Muttalib maqtul, a lot of her family members, and you know what happened to Hamza. Hamza كان كالعين وكالجبين من البدن في الأمة الإسلامية. He was just like one of the most prominent figures, and he was her own brother. And he was so close to her, and she was so close to the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he was killed in this battle. بُقِرَتْ بَطْنُهُ وَصُبِلَتْ أُذُنُهُ وَجُدِعَتْ أَنْفُهُ. You know what the mushrikun, the enemies, did to his body after killing him. Actually, this is one of the points that differentiate between a human and non-human. We see it up until nowadays. You can win the war against somebody, but to do this to the dead body, has nothing to do with Muslims or non-Muslims. It's not human. as somebody who is dead. How could you do that? Where is the respect for? They didn't have nothing of that. They cut his nose, they tear open his belly, they got his, it's such a terrific thing to even think of. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was worried that she would probably see Hamza likewise, his abdominal parts outside, he's mutilated, completely mutilated, she's going to be affected by that. And he sent Zubayr, her son, to take her back. And she refused. He said, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is telling you to go back. She said, why? And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, well, leave her. She saw him and she was completely affected by what she saw, but then she said, that was كَانَ ذَلِكَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. That was because it was for the sake of Allah. أَصْبِرْ وَأَحْتَسِبْ. I will be patient and I will count with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not easy, we can talk about it, so easy, but to see your own brother like that, who was so dear to her, being mutilated in such a way, صبرت واحتسبت وكذا. هذا الموقف الأول. الموقف الثاني يوم الخندق. The second situation was on the day of the trench, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam still had to face all of these enemies coming to Al-Madinah, and they ended up having Al-Khandaq, or the trench around Medina, to protect themselves, to stop fight, because it was not a fair war. They were completely outnumbered, and they had to stay day and night for almost a month at this trench outside Medina, leaving all their family members inside Medina. So every time he leaves Medina or he is outside or something, he would put all the women in al-husun, in the forts, fortified places or buildings, because he doesn't know. Somebody might betray, an enemy come from outside. And especially in this situation, he didn't feel much comfortable when it comes to the people who live with him in Medina, the groups of Jews, Bani Qurayza, were living with him. And that happened actually. They started sending some eyes, some people to see. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and all the fighters, they had to stay outside Medina to guard the points in Al-Khandaq, because the enemy is right in front of you. If you are unaware for a few seconds, they can come and attack. They can jump to the other side. So all the women, all the children are there in the forts. Safiyyah bint Abd-el-Muttalib was there as well. Jews started sending some people to see if there are fighters with them or not. If there's no fighters, they will attack, and it would have been a complete disaster. A complete loss. If the fighter is there and he knows that his family, his wife, his kids are taken, he's probably gonna go back. So Muslims would have probably lost everything. رأته صفية بنت عبد المطلب رأت شبح في الفجر يقترب من الحصن. She saw somebody moving in the darkness close to the beginning of the day, and he was up in a mountain or something, and he was coming. She recognized everything. She was such a smart lady. She said that who's gonna come like that at this time? She knew that this is going to be a betrayal somehow. Somebody, a spy is coming to check, and probably he will go back. If he go back, that's going to be like he will tell his people and they will come to attack. She decided to go out and encounter him. And she لفت خمارها, she wore like a fighter, and she came out, she sneaked out, and she waited for him until he came close to her, and she fought against him and got him. She killed him completely, and even chop off his head and send it back from the top of the mountain so that people will see him. When they saw him, they said, وَقَدْ عَلِمْنَا أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا مَا كَانَ لِيَتْرُكَ الذَّرَارِ وَالنِّسَاءِ. We knew that Muhammad was not such kind of a person to leave his back uncovered. Actually, there was no fighters there. It was just one woman there who decided to come. She got the point, and she guarded the entire back of the Muslims back then. That's not fit for a lady usually, but when the time came that she had to make a decision and she had to go out of track, she did it, and she made it up to the expectation. هذه صفية بنت عبد المطلب رضي الله عنها ورحمها الله تعالى. This was one of the examples of the Muslims, of the ladies that were around the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. نموذج من نماذج الصحابة الكرام. نسأل الله عز وجل أن يحيينا على هدي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى خطى الصحابة الكرام. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us live on the guidelines and footsteps of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم and following the Sahaba and the companions. جزاكم الله خيرا.